Hi again, Taurus Sisters. It's Amy Kay. In this video, I'm going to keep on telling you about how I use this planner. This is part of a series of videos, or maybe just two, so look for the playlist to see other places where I talk about it. In the last video, I talked about how I use this planner to set goals and to reach those goals. In this video, I think I'll talk about more of the everyday. How do I use this planner to help me get through the day, get the most important stuff done, and I think most importantly, to feel good about that day, to not be stressed during that day. And at the end of the day, I sleep well because I know I got the most important stuff done. And if I didn't, I have a plan for it. I'm not just leaving it out there in stress cortisol land. I have a plan. I'm being deliberate and intentional. So I will link to everything in the description that I talk about. Don't forget to go get the Fall Feast issue of Taurus Sisters magazine. Right now, one of my goals is to prepare for the Fall Feast. That's something we should all be having some intention in our life to prepare for the Fall Feast. Just like we prep for Sabbath, we have to prepare for the Fall Feast. And so the magazine can give you ideas for that. But yeah, as in the last video, I talked about my goals, and I should have mentioned one of the goals I'm implementing right now is the Fall Feast planning. And then once the Fall Feasts are done, then I take that goal off my list because it's done, it's achieved. So, all right, in this video, let's get right into this. I told you how on Saturday night or Sunday morning, I plan my week. And so I take all the things that I need to do this week, both my goal tasks, those things that help me reach my goals, and then any other odds and ends tasks that must be done this week, and I assign them a time during the day. Can you guys see this? This is all the times of the day. And so everything gets assigned a time. And I allow myself a lot of grace. I shuffle all the time. Sometimes I use pencil for the really crazy days, but I'm not afraid to cross something out and or draw an arrow. Like, it's okay. It's okay to get it a little messy. It's here to be used. Life is sometimes messy, but at least it's written down and I have a plan. So I have my Google Calendar where I keep all of my hard appointments, like piano lessons and things. I write all of those in here, and then I know the spaces of time that I have to work with for all the other tasks. So let's go back to the beginning of Anne's book here. I'm going to show you a couple more features real quick here. So I showed you all the goals in the last video, and then she has 4 pages of looking ahead for the next 12 months. So, because you might think, well, this is only a 3-month calendar. You can look ahead. And so for me, I like this a lot because, for example, I have a magazine that comes out every 2 months. So I put like magazine deadlines in here and things like that, upcoming feasts, weddings I need to go to, big occasions where I know I better not put too much else on my plate because that's going to be a busy day or a busy week or something like that. So you can look ahead. She even marks the Sabbath in gray. Isn't that great? These are all the Sabbaths. And even all the new moons. She marks the moons. So very cool. Now, this next page, this next spread is gold. It says, my ideal week. I love that. Ideal. It never quite works out, but we have to start somewhere, sisters. And so every 3 months when I start a new planner here, I spend, like I said, I spend some time setting it up again. And so does Anne. And this is one of the pages where a lot of what I did last quarter, I kind of mostly copied over, which seems like a lot of work, but it also gives me a chance to examine again and to re-examine my day, my plan, and see if I should shuffle it up. And I think that's good to look at things with fresh eyes. So now I can do it the same, and for the most part I do. But it gives me an opportunity to shuffle things up. And also, if I did end up crossing things out, I get a whole fresh, clean layout. So it says Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Sabbath. And I lay out, whenever I get up, I just kind of write down morning routine. And then I'll write down, and then there's a separate place where I write down what is my morning routine, and I break that down. And then I'll write down breakfast for the kids, and then I'll write down, together time, and then I'll write down, start school. And then my kids, for the most part, do their school independently, so this is also when I start working. Now, another thing I do every morning in between my morning routine and their breakfast is I'm implementing what I call my deep work time. So I'll actually, up in here, I'll write down deep work. So, and this varies, it just depends on the season of life we're in, but that's kind of how my day starts. Now, and actually I'm pointing to Sunday, but my Sundays are not like that. That's actually a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday thing. My Sundays are very different. A lot of my kids go to their dad's most Sundays. So I work like 12, 16 hours on Sundays. But I still kind of have a layout, like an order of events, even on those days. So this is where I write down my ideal week. Like Tuesdays are piano lessons, and so I write that in here. I'm not going to get any Torah Sisters work done when I'm driving my daughter to piano lessons. So there are things that are different. And here's an example of customizing, and I still might tweak this some, but up at the top, I list things that I have to do every Monday. For example, every Monday, I go to the truck stop here in town and they donate bread for the food bank. So every Monday afternoon, I have to go there and pick up the bread. So I write that up here, pick up bread, because I'll have a time here for what I call running errands, or the Perry Circuit. Well, the Perry Circuit on Mondays includes pick up the bread. Does that make sense? So I give a block of time for errands, but on Mondays, that errand includes picking up the bread. And and there's other things like that. On every Friday, I do my banking. I check on my bank accounts. I do the donations that I want to do before Shabbat, things like that. So that's a Friday thing that I do every Friday. And sometimes I write it up here because what I'll show you I do is I assign, in the morning I do my deep work. That's kind of like the work that I do alone, where I'm just thinking and I need quiet concentration, when the kids don't need me a lot. In the afternoons, and really even early afternoon, I do a different kind of work. I call it task work. So somewhere in those afternoons, one of the tasks that I do every Friday is that banking, bill paying, donations type of work. So I'll write down here tasks and then an arrow for maybe tasks take 3 hours or 2 hours. But on Friday, there's always a task of banking. So up here at the top, I have these like tasks that I do each days of those weeks. And so when I plan my week on Saturday nights, I always come back here to make sure I'm plugging in those tasks. And again, so let's go back to like Monday. Hold on, I'm gonna get a pencil. All right, I just don't really want to write in this in ink because this is obviously kind of a sample. This isn't mine. I'm not going to show you my planner. So like here, I do my morning routine. And that's about all I write. I just write morning routine. I don't itemize it. And then in here, I do my deep work until here. Because actually most days, my kids get their own breakfast. Your life might not be like that, but mine is. And then here we might do some together time, get homeschool kicked off and things like that, and so on and so on. And then in here, it just depends on the day. Every day is different. But, lunch, and then maybe from 1:30 to 4, I'm just calling it task time. And so task time is when I can sit down and do all kinds of things from my to-do list, but they're the kinds of things that I can be interrupted for. I want to be available for my kids most of the day when they need me. The only time I kind of ask them to keep the noise down is when I'm doing deep work. And so during task time, I can do the banking. you know, customer service. That's when I return all your emails and whatever other odds and ends tasks are on my list. So yeah, that's my task time. And then dinner, and then so on and so on. So that's kind of how I do my day today. In this area down here, if on her planner it's blank, I have found myself using it for errands that I need to run. Every day I run errands. So actually in here would be the circuit. So every day I do the Perry circuit. Like maybe I go get the bread from the sub shop. I stop by the food bank. I run the food bank, so I go there every day. I might have to go to the library, and maybe I need to, I don't know, whatever other errands I need to do. Sometimes I have to go to Lansing and go to the UPS store and Costco. And actually, if it was Friday, you know, I would fill up the car up with gas before Shabbat, things like that. So everything gets assigned a task. Now, over here, I will end up with a whole bunch of tasks for the day, all kinds of things. I give them like a code. She has a check mark over here. I don't check off things when they're done. I just cross it off. I like to see it crossed off. So something like doing banking, I give it a T because it's a task. Now, if I'm going to make a video, that's deep work. I give it a D, not for a grade, but that's where it gets categorized because I would try to fit that in here during my deep work time. Because again, I have to think about what I'm going to say. So I like quiet, that's thinking work. And I don't want to be interrupted, obviously, during a video. So it gets done during my deep work block of time. So it's kind of like time blocking. So all these tasks, I assign it a type of work so that I know which block it goes in. And I might actually even also put in here, you know, Costco returns. I have the worst handwriting, but that gets an E because it's part of my errands down here. But as I get things done, I cross them off because it just feels so good to cross things off. So that's kind of how I do that. And again, the things I do every day, like make dinner, I don't really write that down here. On Mondays is the day that I meal plan. So, but that's a task. It gets done during my afternoon time because it doesn't matter if I get interrupted while I'm doing meal planning. So that's how I do the day-to-day planning. Again, for me, the most important part, like I said in the last video, is that Saturday night or Sunday morning, I sit down and I plan all the things. So as I lay out each day, I'm looking here to see, now if I've done assigned a day and a time for everything, if something on here doesn't get done, I don't stress about it. I just assign it to a different day. So, you know, usually the next day. And that happens a lot where I don't get everything done. I tend to put too much on my days. I'm learning to hold back. So we'll talk more about buffer time in the next video, I think. So that's enough to chew on for this video and how I use Ann's planner. If you want to buy her planner, the link is in the description below.